Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. I think it's important to keep a balance in life, because I know that most of you sitting in these chairs aren't sitting there, because you have become millionaires doing this. All right? That option is still available to you, and we all know that, right? And but I know that even those of us that have been economically successful in the business, in the end, that becomes something that is not nearly as important as the other things that we get from, how we spend our days. And I'll get to reading this in a minute, but I just every once in a while reflect on the circumstances that took me down this road. And because it certainly was not a road that I wanted to go down. It was a road that I was on for many years before I wanted to admit it to anybody. I was always embarrassed when people asked me what I did. Even after I'd become successful, because, I just wasn't proud of it. And but now it's so much different, because of the people that have entered my life through the business, because of the experiences that I have had around the world, and it's just been a blessing to me. So it's no longer work for me. In the beginning, it was work, and then one night I had a trip. Because I think that sometimes people get lodged along the way somewhere. Their car kind of runs off the road, or they blow a tire, and they, while they're building the business, and they look in the trunk and there isn't another one, and sometimes they just kind of parked there for a while, right? Waiting for an experience to unlodge them again. And so this was right after there was a big article about how bad Amway was. It was a big expose in some paper back in like 1982, and things weren't going very well in the business. We got in, and of course we were blessed to be sponsored. Well, we weren't sponsored by Steve and Annette, but very soon after we got sponsored, we met Steve and Annette, and then began to develop a relationship there, and that, became our in touch with the upline. They were the people that helped us the most, and that I would complain to the most, and so he's the one that had to put up with more than anybody else did in our upline, and so anyway, and things started off pretty strongly. That we got a bunch of people started, and bang, they hit the ground running. And I'd been sponsored by a teammate of mine who, had made some money already. So he was excited about it, and he started off by having a meeting in his house, which was a real nice house down on Star Island in Miami. He had a meeting in his house every day for 30 days. That's how he got started. And so he wanted to kind of slowly build it, and so that's what happened. And so they rotated the upline going to this kind of like mansion place, and so it got off to a real quick start. And I think Woodsy had been in. They had been in for a couple of months at that point in time, and things really got cooking. And then after this article hit, things slowed down a little bit, and things kind of turned the other way. And it's the first time we had down there in Miami experienced any reversal. Because we just plan on win a few more every year, and here we go. And so it went the other way. And I was on my way to South Carolina. I was working with the fitness center stuff. and working for myself, working for the bank, and I was doing that during the day, and then I was doing meetings at night, and so I was on my way to South Carolina to do a meeting, and that was about 8 hours. So I got to the house, and I'm just like you. I did a lot of meetings where I got to the house and the people had invited folks and nobody had shown up and all that kind of stuff. But this was the first time that I'd driven 8 hours to a house that was dark. Nobody home. I mean, it wasn't like the people didn't show up. The people that had the meeting didn't show up, And I had driven 8 hours, so I had some time to reflect on the way back home. And I made a decision that, I don't care what anybody else thinks about this. I'm going to give this my best effort. I had not given this my best effort to that point, and I knew that. And I knew that I was absolutely embarrassed about it. I was having a hard time getting this. My pride was blocking my sense. Going from what I felt was from, like significance, running into people on a football field, to being in another industry. I just thought that was falling off a cliff. And so, because when I played for the Dolphins, it was fun to say, well, I play for the Dolphins. I was proud of that. I'd worked since I was a kid to get there, and I felt good about that. I was just with my brother and my sister. They had come down for my significant birthday party, and she reminded me of something that I had forgotten. When I went home and told my parents what I was doing, my mother said, "Oh, you did that before." And I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, you were in that before." I was never in that before. "Oh, yeah. And how mothers give you that they got this little finger. And she walks me up in my, bedroom where I used to sleep, and opens a closet door up, and that box right over there. So I pull down this box, and it's got, of course, big Amway on the side, and I put it on the table, and there were all the products in there, right where they were when they arrived at the house. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I guess my tour the first time didn't last too long. Anyway. Yeah. I don't think I was able to tell anybody that I was in. So anyway. So this was my second time, and I had quit before, and I wasn't really sure what I was in, and up until the third year I wasn't sure what I was in either. I was not interested in making friends. I had enough. I wasn't interested in anything except for making money, because when you don't have enough money to pay your bills, it's hard to think of much else. Anyway, that was my reaction to that anyway. And so on the way back, I said, okay, that's it. I realized that I needed to either get with it or find something that I like doing. And so we kind of shifted gear and started going from there. And as soon as I did that, within a month, I met Pratt. Within a month, within 40 days of that experience, I met Steve and Nancy McDonald. The Pratts and the McDonalds both got in and got active right away, and Steve and Nancy, they went silver in 60 days, and they've never not qualified, and it started to set a pattern in the organization from going this way to going this way. Just finding those two people, But I needed to change where I was in my head in order to find those folks. When I was showing the plan, people needed to believe that, this is what I was going to do, and I was going to help them, and we were going to do this together. And they needed to sense from me pride in what I was doing. Because before, I'm sure that some of them thought I was proud of it, but I wasn't. And that was a real turning point. Then we just have been blessed by meeting such wonderful, wonderful folks. And I know that for some of you, this is a major focus for you. The business is a major focus for you, and you're working at it diligently, and it's a major focus for you. And for some of you, it's right now not a major focus for you. And if it's not, understand that's okay. That's not something you need to feel guilty about. I mean, if that's a decision that you've made, that's all right. That you come here and it doesn't make any difference. And that's how we feel about the people in our organization. That's how we feel about them. It doesn't matter, what your opinion is. If you want to change it, change it. Does that mean that we're going to like you anymore? It may mean that, we go to Hawaii together. It may mean we go to Peter Island together, but it certainly isn't going to mean that we like you any better or any more proud of you than we are now. So this is a great community of friends to be in. You're a great community of imperfect people, and people that aren't going to judge you, and people that aren't going to make you feel like you need to do more. You're going to make yourself feel like you need to do more. That's the only valid voice you're going to listen to. Until you decide that you're going to do more, then it ain't going to happen. But right now, I think that our major focus in the next, couple of years, what we should design, any promotions that we run around, should be on developing numbers. Obviously, we've made a it's something that we had for a while in the beginning, way early on, and then it kind of slipped away. The focus on doing a meeting and marketing something so you make money right away, and then trying to sponsor the people, right? I mean, we kind of drifted away from that marketing something at the meeting deal. I know that some of you have business in South America down there. We didn't do it because it was just outrageous. The prices were just incredibly too high to market something. I mean, you were not going to buy anything unless you were in. And they fortunately have made some adjustments down there now, and I think it's going to be really helpful for the business down there. But anyhow, so we have gone back to that, to that marketing concept, right? And we want to have a balanced business. We want to be able to help people make money every night they show the plan. Market something. Become an expert in something. There is enough information on those websites to, you can memorize, and some facts about products, and you've had personal experience with products that you like. Market a product that you can make money with. Right? Excess is great. It's a little hard to make money with that, but find something that you can make money with. And then every time you show the plan, talk about it and offer the product to somebody for purchase, right? And that's how you make money immediately. Then you can create clients long term, and there isn't any reason why in a couple of years you can't have 50 clients or 60 clients. If you're consistently making that offer. Don't feel bad about doing that. But and I've never been able to understand why people courageously show the plan and then are afraid to present a product. I'm not sure what the misconnect is there. But it seems to be like people don't see showing the plan as selling, but they see marketing a product as selling. And showing the plan gives you more work, right? I mean, if they get in, you have more work. I mean, marketing the product, that's going to make you some immediate profit. And so just recognize that. And so we've got a balanced business, but we don't want to go too far that way either, right? I mean, you want to build an organization, and build in your organization is where you're going to experience your joy. You know what I mean? The LOC does a great job, but you're never going to shed any tears over it. You know what I'm saying? It's going to do its thing over and over and over again, and it's great, but it won't amaze you beyond that much. So anyway, so what we need in this organization now is new folks. This is like. Well, it's like the Dolphins now, too, right? I mean, but this is like, they need new folks. Sorry, but that's how it was, back when Shula showed up, right? I mean, 3 games is the most they'd ever won. So for them, if we'd have won 4 in 1970, that would have been progress. You know what I mean? We should feel good about winning 4 games, but. Shula was used to winning a lot more than that, and so shortly we became accustomed to wanting to win a lot more than that too, and we can't use some of his tactics, but anyway, I mean, so we need some new folks, right? And with new folks, excitement returns. And from the people that have been around, I think that we need some new images. I think that we need some, maybe you've had that picture of that house on the refrigerator for 15 years now, and maybe the designs have changed a little bit, and you might have seen something that might attract your attention more than that picture, right? Maybe we can refresh our objectives a little bit, right? And renew our fervor for where we're going. If you don't think you're going to make it, you're not. I mean, isn't that one of the clearest lessons that we've learned, right? I mean, if you don't believe in it yourself, then then they're not going to want to join your team. And so you got to believe where you're going, and do the things that are necessary. And our head is just like our body. Well, it's not just like our body, but it operates in the same fashion. There are certain things that happen, and one thing that is certain, that a change that you make in your head is about as permanent as a decision that you make to be in shape. Right? You make a decision to be in shape. Well, over the course of my lifetime, there's been a few years where, I was wondering what happened to that decision. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, there's a mirror. Don't look in that. You know what I mean? So, and so, yes, Tim, you are growing. Yes. And, and so they're not permanent decisions. You know what I mean? The running you did back in high school doesn't do you any good anymore, right? That's you have experienced the benefit from that now, and you have to move on again into the future if you want to return to that form, right? And so your mind is the same way. Your mind is the same way. So success is the feeling of success, the confidence is not permanent. It's something that needs to be restored. It needs to be revived. It needs to be massaged every day. And that's why it's so important that you read and listen to the CDs. And the CDs are going to get better. The CDs are going to get better. And the leadership of this group is going to start producing materials that will be more interesting and more stimulating than some of the things that you've been getting. I mean, so that is going to happen. Things that we can give to, and we've had talk with Kenny and Jason and Justin, and they've shared with us what they need, and we will get that done. That will be done, and we will have some good follow-up material, and they've been working on that. But I think that I think you'd agree that it'd be great if we had a couple of CDs that we can just hand to people after they've seen the plan, and these are some of the leaders in the organization, and say hello. They want to say hello to you, just something like that, so they begin to meet who you guys are, and because we all know, and that. The new people left on their own, they just don't have enough information to defend themselves. They don't have enough bullets in their gun to win any battles. And some of their opponents are pretty forceful. They were in this group for, because all groups are not the same. And ours isn't for better or for worse, but I think that we probably are closest to the company and understand the process that, hey, we're independent business owners, right? But it's like this. We're passengers on this boat, but we're independent business owners, but we are on a we could say, let's pretend we're on a boat, and we don't own the boat, right? We don't own the boat. Somebody else owns the boat. We are all partners, right? And we are independent business owners, but we have a pretty good deal in that we don't have to manufacture anything, so none of those 450 products got to come out of our brain, right? You know what I'm saying? And then go through our process, and all of a sudden, they're going down and going into the box, and then it goes to FedEx and comes to us. We don't have to manufacture anything. We don't have to develop any new products. We can give them ideas, and they take them and develop them, and they surely have done that, and that's good, right? But we don't have to do that. Real business guys, they got to do that. Real business guys have a store someplace. Real business people, the worst that can happen to us is nothing. You go show the plan, okay, so you spent money on gas and they didn't get in, and okay, big deal. But I call that nothing, right? So nothing happened. That's it. That's the bad part. But in real business, many of you have been in real business. I was in real business. I had a lot of days in real business where a lot worse than nothing happened, it was significantly worse than nothing. 6 figures into nothing, so it wasn't like this. And so we have a business of our own. Yeah, we have a business of our own, but we are on their ship. And I got to tell you something, and I hope this doesn't disappoint anybody, but if they disagree with us, they listen fervently, but if they disagree with us, in the end, they're going to do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Now, how can you develop influence with that situation, knowing that, right? This is like arguing with your parents, right? It's, in the end, what they want to do is what's going to happen, right? You may try to influence them, but, they anyway. So my feeling is that, if you're, and this is why Beth Ann is here, and this is why we try to have somebody from the company with us whenever we get together, because we want them to know what we're doing. We don't want to have to hide from them what we were up to, And I want to be able to tell them what I think about what they're doing, respectfully, but from a distributor's standpoint, what I think about their doing, right? And the only way that you can have that kind of relationship is that they respect you, right? And if they don't respect you, then you're going to have the nice kind of talks where nobody says anything and everybody goes home and that's it, and you have no influence. And so I think that our job, the job of the leadership of this group and the leadership of the company group, is to make the business better for folks in the future. People that are going to be getting in South America are getting into a better business. They've got more competitive products. They've got more products. They've got a much better business than they had when it opened up in 1992. A much better business. You know, and they can make a whole lot more money. We have a much better business than we had not too long ago. I mean, those of you that were Emerald before some of this new money came along. I mean, my first Emerald bonus was in 1984, and it was $400. So I worked for 1/4%. Now, I am not a mathematical genius, but I know that for you got to have a pretty big number for 1/4% of it to amount to much. You know what I mean? And so that's what your Emerald bonus was, 1/4%. Your Diamond bonus was the same thing, 1/4%, right? And so they've added quite a bit more money. You know, they say $60 million, and Beth Ann, you know, we'll talk to them about that because I think that some of that money is going to advertising. That's not available for us, but that is money that they are spending. That is correct. And I think that from 30 or 40 million is available to us, and so that's good, right? You know, and if they're putting it out there, and again, we ought to take it. I mean, it's really a good idea to take it. You know, because you know they and I love them, and they're great folks, and thank God they're still there, right? I mean, you can imagine these families, right? The family members that are working the business. You know, I'm thinking that every once in a while, because I've listened to some of these discussions, and every once in a while they got to be thinking, what the heck am I doing here? You know, because I think they probably got enough money to go home. You wouldn't you think? Yeah. And they're not, you know, because this is something that their family is dedicated to. This is a project that was begun by their parents and that will carry on into the future by their children. And so they are setting the example there. And it's a good family of people, and they are wonderful. You know, I mean, I don't know a lot of billionaires, but I mean, they are kind and patient and genuine, and you know, unimpressed by themselves. You know, at least when they're communicating with us. I mean, they're really regular folks, and so anyway. So how did I get off in that direction? Well, the point is that we got a good partner, right? And the point is that in the end, they're going to do what they think is best. But if they respect us, we can have some input. And Steve has been fantastic. You know, he's great at that. You know, he is a wonderful, detailed, you know, legal guy, and he's spent years on the board up there doing things, telling them the truth about things that need to be done, and they really respect him up there, and he's done a fantastic job. We should give him a round of applause for that. And so we got kind of a new ship. I mean, $150,000 if you can go Founders Emerald 2 years in a row. Right? $150,000. You know, I think that's significant. Plus the money that you're making anyway, right, on the way. You know, $500,000. You know, I mean, if you're a Founders Diamond and you stay there for 2 years, $500,000. That's a pretty good bonus. I mean, not something that you did not have before. Well, here's something new, an extra $500,000. I'm thinking that should provide some kind of stimulus if you've got any interest in building the business. I would think, right? Yeah, I would think. Now, I know that there are a lot of people that's over their head. Well, you know, I mean, I'm never going to be able to do that. You know, because I think I may have told you this before, but the first thing that Shula did when he got in Miami was he got rid of everybody he could. He got rid of everybody he could. You know, and the remainder of them were gone within the next couple years. Everybody. Because those guys had learned something in their 5 years. They'd learned how to lose. right? And he didn't want that anymore. You know, we started with in our secondary with half of the people that were on the field were rookies. Half of them. I mean, you know, we didn't know that was unusual at the time, but, you know, that's really unusual. Half of them were rookies. You know, almost half of the offense was new, you know, because they traded for a guy and brought him in, Warfield, and that was a good deal. And so it was new people. It was not established veterans. It was new people that knew nothing but what he was going to tell them. And he would tell you, you know, what was going to happen. And if you're going to contribute to this, you're going to stay around here. And if you're not going to contribute to this, get out of here. You know what I mean? There was no wiggle room. You knew, you know, as you watched the films, that was always the worst day of the week, Monday, because you came in and you watched the film of the game on Sunday. And you run and you know, and you lived through that mistake, and 70,000 people booed, and you know, you made it through, and it's okay. But now you come back the next day and you see it over and over, because you know, they never run anything you do right back and forth and back and forth. It's just always the ones you do wrong over and over and over. You know, and after a while, I developed a policy, a personal policy. I wasn't looking. I don't want to see myself doing that over and over. I got a hard enough time thinking I can cover these guys. You know what I mean? I don't want to see that. And, so I just kind of closed my eyes and did you see that, Foley? Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I was there. I saw it before. Yeah. I remember that. And so anyway, and that, you know, that just it's a matter of thinking. You know, and those guys from New England, they don't think they can lose. And, you know, they're not going to lose. You know, I don't care what the score is. The score could be 40-0 at halftime, and they think they're winning. And that's why they win. You know, because, you know, in the end, success in this business comes down to you finding 5 or 6 good people. 5 or 6 good, or 6 or 10 good people in the course of your engagement here, right? And so you work the business for 10 years. You know, if they just tell you, like, okay, it's going to be May 17th in 2010. You're going to meet somebody in Pennsylvania. If they just do that, but they don't do that. You know, you don't know when you're going to meet the people of significance in your group. You don't know when. And the ones that you meet when they get in aren't people of significance, but then they get exposed to the things that we suggest for them to be exposed to, and their thinking starts to change, and they start to evolve, and they start to believe in themselves. You know, and then you take an 18-year-old kid who uses a truck driver, and now he's got a big organization, right? And, you know, I mean, you know, you think it was exciting, you know, signing him up when he was 18 years old? You know, I mean, it was just labor, you know what I mean? It was, oh, yeah, okay. They have a lot of questions, you know, and, but you just don't know. And so that's why you take care of everybody in your group. You communicate with everybody in your group, and I think it's healthy to ask them what they think. I mean, we are in a constantly changing business. If we don't change, we're not going to stay alive, right? So they needed to put more money in. They should have put more money in 20 years ago, but they needed to put more money. And now they saved some more up so they could make it bigger. But you know, so they did a good job, and but that needed to happen. You know, we need to evolve, and we need to change some of the things that we're doing. And you know, Efinity is looking at that, and they're listening to the leaders, and they'll provide us with what we need. And just in the end, I think that one of the things that we all need to learn how to do is to close the deal, or at least get at the activity that closing the deal generally produces. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we all should know how to sign somebody up, and we all should ask them after they have seen the plan whether they want to do that now or later. later, or, I'm not sure exactly what to say, and everybody says different stuff anyway. So, but ask them to join. And then you're going to find out that in this process, there are certain things that they will say. Just like Jay was talking about down there in Guatemala. But there are certain things they're going to say. There's not a lot of options. There's only 3 or 4 things, and then you learn answers that you're comfortable with, the 3 or 4 things, and then that's that, right? And you should never take anybody's. People tell me no. They tell me they don't think it's going to work. So they're going to tell you that too. I'm thinking, but don't let that bother you. That's not a big deal. That's going to happen. That's an inevitability. It's going to happen forever. It's going to happen. People are going to say no. Big deal. Don't let that disappoint you, and get the new people ready for that. And we are going to prepare something that is for the new people from all of the diamonds, and that and it will leave them more prepared, and it will leave them feeling better about what they're doing. Because we all know that information that they seek early on can be very damaging, and they don't have any knowledge, and they think they're making a good move here, and then they run into somebody that says, that's not going to work, and all that stuff. So we need to get I think on them early, and I know that without information they're going to die. And I got to tell you, if somebody does nothing but get in and go to a couple of conventions and experience the kind of camaraderie that you feel at a meeting like this, that they listen to some CDs and they read some books. If they don't do anything more than that for a year and then quit, then I think I've done my job. Because they are not going to go away angry. They're not going to go away upset. They will have learned something that they can apply in their life, and I hear that all the time. Now people ask me what I do. I'm back to the Amway thing, and that's where we're going with that, right? We're going with the back to the Amway thing. It's going to be called Amway Global. Amway Global, and that's because obviously it is global now, and it also is. It was suggested to them that they just didn't go back to Amway because that suggested no change from the past, right? And there's been a very, very, I think, healthy change, over the past 10 years, evolution, and so that's good. So it's going to be Amway Global, or the new Amway, but it's going to be Amway Global. I think that's where they're going to end up. And I was not opposed to changing the name. I was one of the ones that was not opposed to changing the name. I was thinking, okay, that's a great idea, But then, as we all know, we couldn't get rid of it. It was attached to us, on the internet, right? All they did is go look on the internet, and they saw the hookup, and then that was that. And I think the most important thing we can do in the beginning is earn people's trust, right? That's the biggest wall that we have to climb. People have to trust us. And if we're not honest with them in the beginning, and you start playing games with them in the beginning, then I just think it leads to a lack of trust as opposed to going the other way. And so we ought to be honest with them. We ought to prepare them for what they're about to face. And we ought to tell them what to think about what they're about to face, right? Anyway, we've got a long time together. We've got a long walk to go, a long walk ahead of us. At least I think we can aim at the next 10 years. And there can be tremendous things happening in the next 10 years. And we need to focus on creating more volume, right? But focus on creating more folks, right? And start moving in that direction. And, because in the end, that's what brings your security, but it's also what brings your joy. That's what makes this, after 11 years playing football, thank you, Lord. I was ready to go. You know what I mean? I remember they carried me off the field. It was against the it was the New Orleans Saints. I'd gone up and tackled some guy, and and I couldn't get up, and so they had to carry me off the field, and I was thinking on the way to the sidelines, I hope this is bad. I really think I've outgrown this. I think, the joy is missing now, and so, I'd had enough. I'd had enough. But, obviously things happen in everybody's lives and everybody's business that are difficult to deal with sometimes. But, I mean, when you're surrounded by people like with people like this, right, that you can tell them, to get on invite them to get on a plane and spend their own money to go down and work a week where it's 112 and have a good time doing that, and then they do that cheerfully, with no complaints, no nothing. Give up a week of their life to go down there and pay for it to go down there. I mean, when you're surrounded by people like that, what do you know? I mean, you got a pretty good deal. So I appreciate all of you, and this was not what I was going to say. So, but I had something really good prepared. But I appreciate your thanks for your patience. Love you all.